I've got my hands on both the SteelSeries Arctis 5 and Arctis 7 gaming headphones. These are pretty interesting. The 7s are a wireless model and actually features quite a cool set of features on both of them. So let's have a look. Starting off with the Arctis 5s, you'll notice these are pretty stylish headphones. They actually have a ski goggle headband design, in fact both of them do, and both of them feature replaceable bands which you can purchase from SteelSeries website as well, with different styles on them and stuff like that. So it is actually pretty cool and rather nice looking. The 5s have Rgb elements built into the ear cup, so when connected via USB you will see them light up and cycling through the colours, and in the software for both the 5s and the 7s you can change a lot of settings. This is the standard SteelSeries Engine 3 software, so if you have any other SteelSeries products this actually ties in quite well. Both of these headphones feature a fairly similar design, both being closed cup, actually being fairly thin and relatively low profile, and actually that does kind of come onto the comfort area that I'll speak about a little bit later. When it comes to connectivity, both of these have most of the controls on the left ear cup, although we'll go into the 7s in a second. On the 5s you have the retractable microphone, which does actually have an LED on the top, so when you use the mute switch on the back that will actually light up red very clearly, which is really nice. It also plays a tone when you mute it as well, so that's quite good. You have a volume rocker and you have the proprietary sort of USB, sort of not cable, as well as a standard headphone jack. On the 7s you have a very similar setup. You still have a retractable microphone, you still have the push in push out mute switch on the back and a volume rocker and the proprietary cable as well as the headphone jack. You also though have a micro USB port for charging, and on the right ear cup you have the actual power button itself and the game mode versus chat mode dial. The 5s actually have a fairly similar dial, which is actually an external hub and is used to connect the headphones to your PC via USB. Here's a quick mic test and an explanation of what that offers you. So just a quick test of the SteelSeries Arctis 5 and the built-in microphone. The microphone on this is pretty much identical to the microphone on the 7, so I wouldn't worry too much about the difference. I would mention that they do actually create two different devices in the sound properties window in Windows, so that is actually kind of useful. So you have the chat one, which is the default communications device, and that's something that Skype and TeamSpeak and Discord should auto pick up. And then you have the game mode, which is the default just audio device. You can actually change this by either this physical dial for the 5s or the dial that's on the actual headset themselves for the 7s. This is really awesome as it means that you can actually vary the volume of either your friends or your game depending on which one you want to hear more of, without having to actually change the levels of the game or your friends or anything like that in any properties. You can just do it by a physical dial, and it means that if you really need to hear something in pub or something like that, or you just want to be able to hear your friends for a second and turn off the game, then you can do that all with the dial. As I mentioned, the 7s do also have that feature, although on the wireless USB hub they actually have a couple of extra features as well. On the back where the USB cable comes out, you'll notice a line in and a line out port, and this is really cool. You can have your speakers or even a line in, so from your phone or something like that, having an analog audio signal in and out, and when the headphones are connected the analog in will go to the headphones as well as the audio from the USB, but when the headphones are turned off it will automatically default that audio to go through to your speakers or whatever is connected to the analog out, so that you don't have to manually switch in Windows to your headset or to your speakers whenever you want to change. When it comes to comfort, I did spend time with both of these headphones, using them for extended periods of time, both gaming and just music listening and stuff like that, and I have to say that my experience is a little bit mixed. Obviously these are very similarly designed headphones, with the only main difference being a slight design difference in the headband and of course the extra weight of the battery and all that sort of stuff in the 7s. I did spend the most time with the 7s, and for me these were actually quite painful to wear on the ears due to the low profile of the ear cups, as my ears were physically pressed up inside the headset, whereas the 5s, despite having a very similar design, the clamping force doesn't seem to be as tight, and for some reason these are just a little bit more comfortable, but overall they're still fairly decent, although especially if you have a slightly larger head, I assume, and the similar sort of, I guess, shape to mine, I guess, the 7s can can be a little bit uncomfortable, especially for prolonged periods. When it comes to audio quality, for me, they're pretty decent. They're not the best in the world. They don't really compare to my Blue Lolas or, for example, even a similarly priced Audio-Technica or Sennheiser headphones, but they are pretty decent. I don't think you're going to be missing too much, but especially considering that the 7s are in the £150 category, that does mean that you could get a pretty decent experience from something like some Audio-Technica ATH-M50s and an Antline mod mic, rather than this setup, although of course this one is wireless, whereas that setup wouldn't be. But of course, if you're after the premium audio quality, then you will want to go for a slightly more audio-centric option rather than these. So what's the verdict here? Well, for me, this is kind of an interesting one, especially on the 5s. They're the ones that I'd recommend more here. The overall software experience and the really well thought out features, especially for people who are like, regular gamers who have to switch their audio devices and who do use TeamSpeak or Discord or Skype or whatever else to talk and chat while they're gaming. All those features are really nicely thought out, and I especially like the audio pass-through with the headset as well, so you don't have to switch from your speakers to your headphones to have your game sound come through that and stuff like that. So that is pretty nice, but at the same time, especially with the not quite perfect quality, the overall comfort level, at least for me anyway, not being perfect either, and especially on the 7s, the pretty high price tag, I don't know if I can necessarily recommend them over a slightly more custom solution of a nice pair of audiophile headphones and something like a mod mic. If I were to recommend either of these, it would definitely be the 5s, and I think if you are more gamer focused, then I think this one is actually a pretty good shout for you, and some really well thought out features available. When it comes to scoring, of course, I will be doing these separately, starting with the 5s. For me, this is going to be a 4 for value for money, a 4 for performance with a 4.5 functionality, I think a 4.5 for style, and I think a 4 and a gamer approved award has to go to these. These, as I said, are really very gamer focused. There are some really nice features available. Software experience is pretty good too, so nothing too much to complain about. The audio quality certainly isn't bad by any stretch, but there are a few bits sort of missing in the details when listening to them over the sort of Blue Lola, ATH-M50s and stuff like that. When it comes to the 7s, for me, this is going to be, I think, a 3.5 for value for money. Performance is the same at a 4, and I think functionality is still going to be a 4.5. I think styling is going to be a 4.5 as well, as they're very similar here, and I think in terms of TechteamGB score, I think this is going to be a 3.5. They're certainly a decent pair of headphones, and while they're not, necessarily perfectly audiophile grade, I think for me, I overall recommend that the 5 is a little bit higher, just because of that slightly better value for money. And while you are missing the audio pass-through, which is really nice functionality, and I kind of wish that the 5s did implement that, it is still pretty nice and overall a pretty decent experience. If you want to check out the price when and where you watch this for either of these headsets, I'll leave links in the description down below for you. Also, feel free to take a look at the videos that I'll leave over here for you, and the subscribe button over here if you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to let me know in the comments down below, and if you've got any questions, feel free to let me know down there too, whether that's about the headsets or anything else. I do try and respond as quick as possible, so feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I guess that's kind of it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to take a look at the Amazon and Overclockers UK affiliate links, as they genuinely do help me out. And yeah, other than that, check out the other videos, and we'll see you all in the next one.